Welcome back. Well, for the markets, it's weak. Mid-cap index is down around 1.7%. We have a lot of the companies which are under pressure from the real estate space. So Prestige Estates, for example, is down around 1.7% as we speak. And a couple of these PSU banks as well. So Bank of Maharashtra, for example, is down around 2%. So there's just a mix of stocks across sectors which are under pressure from the broader markets. And as you can see, that's reflected in the advanced decline ratio. But let's talk about the real estate space. Q3 2024 has recorded what is the highest quarterly sales this year at 87,108 units. Sales have grown across all markets except for the NCR region, where sales have dipped by 7%. To discuss this and more, we have Gulam Zia, the Senior Executive Director at Knight Frank India, joining in. Gulam, hi, welcome to the show. Well, you know, all of this is back in, I mean, it's not really forward-looking data anymore because Q3 2024, while it did record the highest quarterly sales ever this year, rather, are you seeing that trend continue? And the reason I'm asking is that, you know, there's been some amount of uncertainty which has seeped into, say, the equity markets. There's some amount of uncertainty which is arising out of this entire geopolitical situation. So are people getting a little cautious in terms of expenditure, and is that already reflecting in the real estate space?
Thank you so much for having us on this show today. You know, first of all, your concerns are valid. In fact, these concerns are airing all over. The pulling back of expenses is really something which we are looking all around. However, the same is not reflecting in the transaction numbers of residential sales yet. So at least last couple of months, people have been talking, albeit in a hushed up tone, that real estate sales, residential sales are going down, but the numbers are not yet showing that. As we said, if you just focus on the numbers of this quarter, as you rightly said, almost 10% growth YOY. And that number itself is going to be the best in last 10 to 12 odd years. In 2012, we saw about 3.5 lakh apartments sold in a year in the top 8 markets. This year, we are poised to either equal or break that record. So while the concerns are there, the end to the residential sales is nowhere in sight. I would love to see a couple of more months, if not a quarter or two, before we convincingly talk about the trend. However, at the moment, the party continues.
At the moment, the party continues, but for how long, you know, because now everyone's thinking of it as, you know, having lasted for a lot longer than one was anticipating. So the question is, what next? I mean, with all these things happening around, and maybe, you know, the equity market's also seeing a bit of a sell-off. So the wealth effect will start coming into picture as well. So from here on, what's your prognosis?
Let me just divide it into a certain sections. You know, when we are looking at these numbers, these are essentially driven by the upper end of the market, which is, you know, grown almost about 46% of the overall market, which used to be in single digits maybe about 3-4 years back. So the key point here is that mid to low end of the market is just not performing. And the reason of that was multifold. To start with, post-COVID, there was a huge distress in the lowermost segment. And after that, the home loan interest rate shoot up. These two things had a huge impact on the lowermost segment of the market. And then on the other side, from the supply side, because the developers realized that the margins and velocity of sales are much better in the upper end, everybody was focusing on the upper end of the market. So net, what happened is that all the transactions, most of them almost touching half of what is happening is upwards of 1 crore and higher. And that is a concern. The mid to lower end of the market hasn't really been performing at all. And now with the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana 2.0, which focuses on bringing, you know, lower interest rates by at least 150 to 200 bips for the lowermost segment of the market, here we are already looking at some expectations of improved transaction numbers down there. While it is not reflecting on the overall number, but we are expecting in times to come in next couple of months or couple of quarters, when upper end of the market will dry up or at least go slow, the lower end will shoot up. And that is where, if the answer is so simple, I would say that I don't expect much of an impact on the real estate sector per se, because if one segment has been doing exceedingly well, the other segment is just about starting. So net, I'm not expecting this, the euphoria that you see in real estate market to die down for at least a year or two. With lower end of the market shooting up in next quarters, we will see much of an impact actually to cover up for the losses that you would see or the slowdown that you would see in the upper end taken over by the lower end of the market.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. But when you talk about pricing, then, while sales might not be impacted, do you think that pricing will probably stagnate across categories?
Well, pricing has been one of the problems that we are expecting to bounce to actually haunt the real estate sector, especially in the mid to upper end. The price rise has been in a few markets like Mumbai, NCR, etc. The price rise has been absolutely not justifiable. The kind of numbers that we are always worried that if developers start jacking up their prices without really giving cognizance to taking cognizance of the market realities, it will bounce back, it will hurt them a lot, and which is already we are reaching that stage. So you're right, the price rise that has happened in last year and a half or two was actually something which we are worried about, and now it will taper off. So if your concern or question is about whether do we see any improvement in price rise, definitely not. We would expect the prices to actually cool down a bit. And going forward, affordability will be under question, and hence developers will be smart enough to realize that velocity of sales is more important than keeping the prices high. So somewhere we do see the prices cooling off in the upper end of the market, but with lower end recovering, I would really expect that the prices would still not be that much of a problem in the lower end of the market.
All right, take that point. Always a pleasure speaking to you and hearing out your views on the real estate space. Wish to continue our conversation another time as well. Post-festive season, perhaps we'll do a demand check once again. Let's step into a short break now. And as we do that, let's give you some good news, which will appear right here in a moment. This one is for you, viewers. India's business news leader is now just a click away. Introducing CNBC TV18's all-new app. What you do with this app is get instant access to all the breaking news and in-depth articles and everything that's taking place in the financial world, which you would normally see on your television screens, will now come on your fingertips as well. What do you have to do for that? Nothing. Just download this CNBC TV18 app from either the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and stay updated on the move.